Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Life Live. Obviously, I am not Steve, but I am jumping in here today, and I'm sitting in studio with Jim Burns. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Jill, great to see you.
Yeah.
And, hey, I think you do a great job, and so we don't need Steve today.
Well,
plus, we have Becky.
Becky's going to be joining us, but she's momentarily frozen, I think. So
She does. We can see a screen. She's in Ohio.
She's frozen.
And she's frozen. So there's
we
Becky.
are jumping in.
Absolutely.
So we've just had a long holiday weekend, which is so awesome. I can't believe how having that extra day is just so rejuvenating.
Hey, you are so right. And I had grandkids with me, and it's funny. I used to be a youth pastor, and so I would speak to students, and so I was the student guy, and now I'm the grandparenting guy. Not that I just speak on grandparenting, but I love my grandkids.
Yeah.
And they just crawled on me, and we played, and I was exhausted.
Oh.
And but it was a great kind of exhaustion. Mm-hmm. So it really was. It was a neat time. How about you? What'd you do?
Oh, I had a great weekend. I did things that were really rejuvenating.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't go away anywhere, I mean, people come on vacation where we live.
Exactly.
And so I went out and did things that I don't normally do. Right.
Well, I wrote a blog on this for Homeward, where I work, and I talked about the fact that on Labor Day, what are we doing? Let's enjoy. Let's do something rejuvenating.
Yes.
Instead of going, okay, now I can finally get the bills done, and I can get the bills paid, and I can go shopping, and I can do all this. Enjoy some time that rejuvenates
It's
you.
amazing. Just leaving your house, right, and getting in a different environment. I went down to the beach.
Yeah.
I was with good friends. I had really good connecting time where, people that know me well, and we could really talk about life.
And connecting time. We all need connecting time. We need those replenishing relationships. And interesting enough, sometimes I think some of the people who call us here at New Life, they don't have replenishing relationships. They have a lot of very draining people around them. And I think you have to be proactive about doing that. And so you were proactive this weekend about being with wonderful connecting relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we hope for all of our listeners, right? And you're right. A lot of people call. A lot of you out there feel very isolated and alone. And we want you to have more in life than just that aloneness, right?
It's interesting, too, when people call, and I'm the newbie with all of you all, but I love that people do really what the Bible says. The Bible says, where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. And and I've told you this, Jill, and I've told Steve and anybody else, Becky and others. I'm take notes on you all because these people call to get counsel. They're doing what the Bible tells them to do. That's courageous to ask questions and get some insight and move on and get healed from whatever it is. And it takes time and it takes energy, but it takes being proactive. And sometimes the first step is making that call. But the wisdom that comes out of this experience is amazing. So I'm grateful for that.
And one of the obstacles I think that people have, it's great here because you can call anonymously. Yeah. If you want to, right? And get input. But I think a lot of people who do remain isolated is because they've been hurt, right? That's why they're often calling us. They've been hurt, they've been betrayed, and it's hard to trust again. Yes. And so what we do, instead of leaning in and taking a risk step and finding safe people, we just wall ourselves off.
No, and that's exactly the wrong way to do it. But I understand it. It's hard to do, but it's time to jump out there, get some help.
So we are here fielding your calls today. Again, Becky Brown will be joining us from Ohio. We want to just be with you and speak to whatever is on your minds. We've always got a lot going on here at New Life. I'm sure there are lots of workshops I could be telling you about right now, and we'll get to those a little bit later in the program. So please give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or 1-800-229-3000.
We knew our marriage was broken, but we didn't know how to fix it.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, October 21st to the 23rd.
It has transformed our lives, our marriage. You have reached our home. You have helped transform our lives.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship, and then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com.
Thank you for giving us a pathway where we can humble ourselves and say, Lord, we need help. Help us fix it. And we thank you for that.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE for more information. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Jill Hubbard here, sitting in for Steve Arterburn and also sitting in for Becky Brown. And I'm joined by Dr. Jim Burns. So we are in studio today and we are ready to answer your questions. So I believe we are going to talk to Grace, and she calls us from Los Angeles, California. Hi, Grace. Welcome to the program.
Hi.
Hi. How can we help you today?
Well, I needed some guidance, advice, and definitely prayers on how to help my son who is addicted to drugs, and I think it's heroin. I'm not sure.
Oh, this is when we need Dave Stoop, Dr. Dave Stoop. He's had this experience. How old is your son, Grace?
35.
35. And are you in contact with him? I mean, you need help?
Well,
help how?
Yes and no. He doesn't want to talk to anyone right now. He says he's get help, but this has happened before, about a year ago, and he was okay for a while. It's actually him and his girlfriend. But right now, he's pretty bad.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Grace, I was wondering if you're getting the help you need. The beauty of living in a community like Los Angeles is there's so much help for people like yourself to get the help. And sometimes what we have to do as parents, I think, is surround our own lives with people who can help us and work through some of the questions and the issues. And then, and only then, is when our kids, can make better decisions, even kids who are 36 years old. Are you getting the help you need?
I have access to a counselor, so...
Okay.
So, I guess.
So a therapist, that's great, but I think also being part of a community, there are a lot of groups, 12-step groups that are oriented towards parents even. So like there's Al-Anon that are in specific meetings for parents, or there's Narcanon, and they have parent-focused meetings. And I think it's good to have that balance, because it's really, as a mom, you feel so helpless when your kid is doing something that is just so destructive. And yet all the worrying and cajoling and, it doesn't help anything. So really, for your own peace of mind, so that when he does make contact, when he does need you, you're in a better place. You're feeling more emotionally stable yourself, right? Because what we don't want to do is be addicted to our kid who's addicted, right? We want to learn how to have those that healthy, taking a step back, a little bit of healthy detachment, while at the same time being ready when they're willing to get help. And I think that, Jim, when a kid finally says, I need help, that's when you can jump in and help with the help.
No, exactly.
Right?
And, even I've told parents many times, have a plan. You may not be able to, help your child at that moment do it, but know the plan. Here's the plan. Know what an intervention is. The phrase that Grace would hear if she was at Narcanon or Al-Anon is, you can't want it more than they want it.
Oh, I love that saying.
And that's a great phrase. It's hard for a parent. I mean, it's easy for us to say, you can't want it more than they want it. Grace is heartbroken. Her son is making some really poor choices. But she can, get the help she needs, and she can get potentially a plan in place that could help them when he crashes. Now, if he's using heroin, it's only a matter of time when he's going to crash. And what you hope is that he crashes emotionally and not as much physically.
Right.
Right. Funny enough with heroin, not funny, haha, but funny, weird. But funny enough with heroin is that, it's one of the strongest drugs known to humankind. The detox is horrible. But once you go through the detox, if you have a plan, you can get past some of this, even people with heroin.
Yes.
But the problem is that I hear people who have been heroin addicts say, this is better than God, it's better than sex, it's better than life, So they're having an experience that is only temporary, and it's not good, but you can't explain that to them too often. But you want to be there, you still want to be present, but you can't take care of them. You do it tough love. Tough love is not being mean to your child. Tough love is allowing the circumstances of poor choices to happen. And that's tough for parents.
Right. So Jim, in your book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children, some of the principles apply here for sure, right?
Yeah, when they violate values.
Right, right. But at the same time, I think sometimes, it used to be that we just wait till people hit bottom. Yeah. If you have any leverage at all, you try to raise the bottom, right? No. And I would be, trying to make some contact with him and letting him know, when you're ready to get help, I'm here for you.
Right. And, sometimes even through conversations, we use a phrase. Steve and I wrote a book in 1988, so it dates us, called Drug Proof Your Kids. And we used to talk about creating a crisis. So how do you help create a crisis? Well, sometimes that's by removing finances from the child. Sometimes it doesn't mean removing love. It simply means, but sometimes it does mean removing presence, or they can't live. Grace didn't say this because Grace was talking about the girlfriend too, which is not a help because the girlfriend's probably using too. But he's not going to live on Grace's dime. Grace can't keep doing this. I told one time a couple who was helping fund their child, I said, well, you are paying for this heroin, And they said, no, we're not. I said, well, how is he buying the heroin if it's not on this money that you're giving him? And so what they needed to do was remove that money. Well, that was the hardest thing. They go, well, he could become homeless. Well, he's a step, nearer getting help if he did become homeless in this particular situation.
Yeah. And Grace, I don't know if you are doing any enabling behaviors with him, but I liked what you said, Jim, about you don't remove love. So I think you can still lean in with love. Do you have a relationship with the girlfriend? You said your son has been through this a year ago. Can you come in instead of, with a lot of anxiety and condemnation, can you come in lovingly and say, remember when you went through this before, right? Remember how this played out, right? And say, I care about you. You're an adult. You're making your own decisions, but I really care about you. And we've seen this before. And I'm concerned that it might end up different this time. And so I'm here when you want to make a change.
That's great advice, Grace, to hear. I one time said to somebody, hey, let's play this movie forward. So you're on drugs. This person their drug of choice was not heroin. It was fentanyl, which is just as scarier.
Yeah.
And I said, let's play this movie forward. Where does this go? And it was an interesting conversation because they said, well, it's probably going to be that I'm going to one day crash and I'll want help. But right now I like this too much. I said, I appreciate your openness and honesty, but, this movie could go really scary very quickly, like the next time you take fentanyl. And you know what? That person decided to jump into some treatment, and they were willing to get some treatment and make sure where they can get the help they need. Depending on where finances are and insurance and all that kind of stuff, there is help for a person who's addicted to heroin. It doesn't have to be something that's extremely costly, but know where that is for them when they do crash.
So, Grace, I hope this is helpful. Again, we're so sorry. You're right. You need a lot of people praying around you and praying for opportunities where you can have an impact, right? But that you also keep your own sanity and you stay grounded in the process. So let's, do you think your book would fit for her? Or
Yeah, I definitely think Doing Life with Your Adult Children would. It helps, especially if she's potentially thinking that she's helping when she's enabling.
Right.
And sometimes we enable dependency and we don't even mean to.
We don't realize it.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
Okay, so we'll send you Jim's book. I'm thinking also Take Your Life Back, because that's always a good one when we're in relationship with people and we want to do more or we feel helpless. So that helps you take care of yourself. Grace, thanks so much for calling today. So just a reminder or to let everyone know that we have Every Man's Battle that actually starts this Friday. It's in Dallas, and so I imagine it is not too late to jump in, since many people make the decision at the last minute. So however you can get there, please go. I think every man should go to Every Man's Battle, because whether you have a sexual addiction or you're dabbling in porn or you're looking at other women or you have a lot of difficulty connecting with other men or you have father wounds, this workshop just changes so many lives. So please give us a call on that. Next, we're going to go to Terry. Who are we going to next? Jim, can you read the name? We're the blind leading the blind in here. Someone from Raleigh, North Carolina? Ann? Hi, Ann. Welcome to the show today. How can we help you?
Hello?
Hello, Ann.
Yes, can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can hear you, yes.
Okay. Our situation is, for the past 4 years, we have been estranged, not by choice, from our son, daughter-in-law, and 3 granddaughters. We live about 3,000 miles apart. We are in the process. We just recently retired, and we're working on our trust. And I know this is a very difficult topic, and sadly it's too common. But we don't want to be revengeful, but we're having a difficult time being equitable with our daughter and son regarding our estate. And just really just seeking some Christian counsel.
So this is more, okay, you're looking at the relationships. It sounds like you have a relationship with your daughter, but your son and daughter-in-law have pulled away. Right? That's what you're saying?
Yes, and what little contact we do have with our son, it's usually when he's traveling.
So when he's not with his wife. Is that what you're saying? Or when they're all traveling?
When he's out of town on business.
Okay, and so then, go ahead.
Not consistent. And even that is not consistent.
Okay. So it sounds like you would feel like there's some resentment there in terms of, then do you just hand a kid who has pulled away, do you just hand them everything that you would have normally handed them, right? And that's a really good question. I mean, I do think when it comes to inheritance, it's really important. I mean, one, I don't think anyone should expect to receive anything, right? That isn't an entitlement. It's a privilege that some families are able to do. But at the same time, I think it's important, once you're gone, kids look at that. People left behind, whether they realize it or not, look at it as how they are valued. So it's money that's left behind, or it's things, but it really equals a person's value. And so that can be very hurtful to the people left behind. And so one of your kids makes you feel good and the other one doesn't. Now, that being said, one person is invested in the relationship and the other one is not. So no one says it has to be equal, but there has to be some realization that you're making a statement, a last statement from the grave of your value of your child. What do you think, Jim?
Correct.
Well, it sounds like you're asking all the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
This is not, I don't think there's a simple answer to this. No. I do think that this is your chance to try to, obviously we want to work always toward reconciliation. So this is the chance with your son to have some of those conversations. Do you feel like you have a good handle on why there's this estrangement? We didn't really talk about that. Maybe we should do that we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll tackle that. So that's the question. Have you worked on that estrangement? And again, you can call us at 1-800-229-3000, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Yes,
and
Jim.
you can tell we're winging it a bit because Becky, we're having some technical difficulties, and she's our master leader at this. So Jill and I just kind of keep looking at each other. But I'm excited.
I know how to do this after all these years.
I'm excited that Ann called us, and I think we can have some good dialogue. And again, give us a call. We're going to be here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
1 hour live, and then the next hour.
Yeah, and there's hope for future reconciliation. Hopefully.
Totally. Yeah,
so
that's what we want.
Maybe
this is just a short season for her. You hope.
Right. That's the hope. We'll be right back.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, he just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Dallas September 9th to the 11th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. The thing that we've been doing here for over 3 decades is trying to help people see there is a better way. And I don't know of anybody that doesn't have something that they couldn't be working on.
The Repurpose Life online conference is Saturday, September 24th. The topics addressed are for anyone who wants to move from the pain and struggles of the past towards a healthy, happier future. Steve and Misty Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Becky Brown will cover topics like how to move from past hurts and trauma, building your community, codependency, failure and recovery, recovery from the pandemic, and much more.
The Repurpose Conference is something I'm really excited for because it really is addressing the life recovery process. But again, we all need recovery.
To register or to find out more about the Repurposed Life online conference, call 1-800-639-5433 or liferecoverygroups.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Oh, Becky. Becky, Jim and I have been chitting here.
You guys have done a great job. No, you've done a great job. I'm just sorry. It's a modern day miracle when we can connect it all.
I know.
But listen, we're going old school, and now I'm on the phone. I mean, how perfect is that? We're a call-in talk show, and
you're calling in. You're the call-in host.
Yeah. I am, but I don't know what the screen looks like, but listen, if you are listening and you need some help, you can call in 1-800-229-3000. And as you've already heard, Dr. Jill and Dr. Jim have done a great job helping people, and I know that we can still answer a lot of calls. We're going to be on for about another hour and a half, and we just want you to get the help that you need. I know that one of the things that we've talked about recently is about our Lumina Women's Experience at the Museum of the Bible. It's going to be an incredible weekend, it's a one-day event, but it's just going to be filled with great wisdom, great teachers, a great experience for you and your gal pals to come and join. And we've got a deal going on. It is Steve kept calling it the carpool special, but I don't think that's what it's supposed to be called.
Yeah.
But if you buy a total of 4 tickets, you can get them for $59 each. So you can go to newlife.com
and click the banner, and you'll get the information there, or you can just call us and you can ask all the questions. But
right, and
in
Becky,
the meantime,
it's a one-day event that happens twice. Is that correct?
Great. You can pick November 3rd or November 4th.
You could go twice, or you can pick which day.
You could, yeah. But we're thinking one day you're going to have that time with your friends and with these great speakers and just a great time. But enough about this caller. How about you guys pick another caller?
Well, no. We're still on Ann, Becky. So we're going to go back to Ann, and we had a question.
Absolutely.
Jim, you posed a question. So Ann, are you still there?
We're talking about the estrangement. I mean, sometimes that's the bigger issue than what you do with your money when you pass.
I mean, that's a good question, though, and I'm glad you're asking it. But
so what do you?
You're still here.
What's the process? What's the process you've gone through with this?
Okay, we actually lived in the same community, and we moved away about 10 years ago, and then we relocated in our retirement way across the continent. So attempts have been made to invite them to our home. Attempts have been made to FaceTime, calls, that kind of thing, and we have just been shut down.
So this happened just since the move? Like, is it because you moved, or it was happening before?
It was happening before, and and I've been a supporter and frequent listener to New Life Live, and actually went to an Amen clinic regarding this when we lived in California.
When your son calls you and he talks and you bring up the issue, what does he say? What's his response?
It's very defensive. Boundaries, and he won't elaborate. They will not communicate in specifics. It's really hard.
Yeah. Are there grandkids in this relationship?
Yes, there's a teenager and 2 elementary school.
And do they allow you connection with them?
No.
Okay. Because the reason I say that is because oftentimes with estrangement with the son or daughter-in-law, sometimes there's not estrangement, frankly, with the kids, and you get back in the relationship through the kids. But I'm hearing you say that they're blocking you from the grandkids too.
Yes.
Do you send presents? Do you?
Yes.
And do they allow that?
As far as I know.
Okay.
How do we? We never get any acknowledgement, so it's really hard to know.
If you said to them,
I have a question.
Sure.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question for Ian. Ian, how do you ask the question? Like, if I were to ask your son what the deal is, what would he say? And then how do you ask the question when you're talking to him about why you can't be there, or what's the disconnect? What is the way that you ask?
Feel we would love to have a relationship with all of you. We would desire to have a relationship with the girls. Just not my husband. And accountability has been a problem. We helped them substantially years ago with some financial situations, and we sensed that once we were finally paid off, that they would disconnect, and that's exactly what happened.
Wow. So
okay.
So, but you don't have a sense of what you did. You've asked directly.
No.
What have we done to cause you to not want relationship with us? We don't see how we are. Go ahead.
Yeah, my husband is pointing out in the background here that really it was from out of the gate when they were first married that she really wanted to kind of disassociate us, and then it's just been a very walk on eggshells kind of relationship.
Yeah. Oh, that's hurtful. Likely it may have something to do with her upbringing and how she sees authority figures and being a new wife. all of that. Yeah.
I think what's hard is they don't know.
They don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's a hard thing, and I think we'll touch on this when we come back. But having clarity helps with the process,
Yeah,
right?
it sure
I mean,
does.
if we only knew what we don't know, it could help us understand more. We'll be right back. We're still taking calls. 1-800-229-3000.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We've been talking with Ann about disconnection in her family, and that can be so painful in so many ways. And I think the last thing that we talked about was just the fact that there was no clarity about why this is happening. And so as we kind of wrap this up, oh, go ahead.
Well, Jim and I were talking at the break about a lot of times what we think is just normal human behavior or connection or trying to be friendly. Sometimes when a new person comes into our family, we have to remember that they grew up in a different family culture and they bring all of that. And so a lot of times a new daughter-in-law especially can be intimidated by a family, and I said, may have authority issues and may take things wrong that are said and feel slighted because she's new in the role as wife and then mother. And so if she's someone that feels easily criticized, she may take even the most benign comments to be that and then push away. And so we were talking about making, a lot of times, Jim, you were saying the best way to get to your son is often through a daughter-in-law. And so I'm wondering about reaching out more to the daughter-in-law, right? In loving, non-judgmental ways, and just letting her know you care for her, you miss her, you'd love to connect.
I have a friend, and I'm not saying this is the easy answer, because really the presenting problem was more about the estate.
Right.
But I have a friend who was having real big trouble getting to her son and grandkids.
Yeah.
Because the daughter-in-law was blocking it. Mm-hmm. And she bought her a $25 gift card, Starbucks card, and brought it by and just said, "Hey, I was just thinking about you today," and wrote a nice little note, handed it to her. Now again, this isn't 3,000 miles away like in Ann's case.
Yeah.
And saying, "You know what? Thought about it again. It was 2 weeks later, whatever. One of the times, the daughter-in-law said, hey, why don't we go get some coffee? And today, they have built this relationship based on Starbucks coffee. I'm not saying it's that simple with Ann.
No. But maybe something,
Yeah.
you know.
And you know what? It was finally she got to the answer. What's going on here without making it intense at all? Because daughter-in-law just ran from conflict, right?
Right.
And
or direct confrontation, maybe.
Exactly. Better said. And she said, well, I just feel so intimidated by this family. You guys seem to be all together and I'm not. And so I've kind of blocked you and I don't mean to. And I really love you and I need you and I don't know how to do relationship.
So it was out of her insecurity.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying that happened in one time.
No. But
it's a process.
Right.
But sometimes we can do that. I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer when it comes to estate planning. I think it's not about the money. It's about getting back before you die, getting back together with the relationship. And maybe it's the grandkids again. You know, Ann said she didn't know if the grandkids got those gifts. Keep sending those cards. And you know what? Sometimes grandkids grow up. Always they do. They grow up. And sometimes it's the grandkids who are like, this is nuts. Why don't we have a relationship with maybe there's a story behind the story too that we haven't heard yet. But don't give up on those grandkids because the grandkids over the process of time, and then even when you look at an estate, it's very possible to skip generations in a estate because some people say, you know what, we're not going to give this to our kids. We're going to give it to the grandkids. We're going to have the money that we have, whether it be a lot or little, is going to help them get a college education. It's going to help them, do some of that kind of stuff. And you know what, when somebody's paying attention to my kids, I'm melting.
Right.
And I just appreciate that. Maybe that's what we can do here too.
I hope something that we've said to Ann is helpful. And I think that it is more than one big conversation. I would also encourage Ann to turn the conversation away from why can't we get together to just connecting. How are you? Good to see you. Kind of along the lines of what you're just saying, Jim, about the Starbucks card. Because you know what? Acceptance of the way things are is a way forward. It's not what we want. It's not what we expected, and we're disappointed. But in order for us to connect, that's where we've got to begin with that humble and just. I'm sorry, Ann, that this is so hard. Did you guys refer a book? Because
we have not yet.
I'm thinking Jim's book.
I know.
I did that to you last time you were on, Jim. But I think your book about how to do life with your adult children would be very helpful, and we'll send that to you, Ann. Right now, we're going to talk to Larry. I think he's in the studio.
Yes, there he is.
Snuck in, yeah.
See, one thing worked right today. It's so good.
Well, Becky, Every Man's Battle, I know Joe mentioned it earlier, this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Dallas, Texas. And I'm kind of excited because I used to go to these all the time and then pandemic hit. And it's a little bit off and on, travels a couple of times. It was over $1,000 to get to somewhere just to fly. So I'm going to be there this weekend to witness and to see it, and I love it. And here's why. Here's one guy's story. I went to Every Man's Battle in 2019 after a life full of hiding porn and other sexual addiction. I tried white knuckling for years and also participated in sexual addiction groups and individual counseling. I had some temporary freedom but always fell back to the old life. Every Man's Battle opened my eyes to things I never saw, my disconnectedness to other people. Every Man's Battle gave me a group of men to hold me accountable and build relationships without shame. I've learned more about true fellowship in the last year or so than I did in the previous 50-plus years. Sexual bondage tempts me every day but no longer has a hold on me. This new life of freedom is unbelievable. To anyone out there sick of their sexual bondage, go to Every Man's Battle with 3 exclamation points. This is a major turning point in my life. Thank you, New Life. So, guys, what are you waiting for? It's the spookiest thing is making the call to New Life to register for the workshop. And then you walk through the doors and you're greeted without shame, happy you're here, and you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to meet some connecting people that will make a difference in your life. The Holy Spirit's going to do the work. You just have to take the first step forward. And so we want you to come.
And folks, we want you to support New Life because it supports programs like this, projects, and lives are changed, and that's what it's all about. That's the only reason we seek you to, I ask you, go to God, just say, how can I support this? What should I do? And help New Life, help somebody get where they need to be in their new life.
It's pretty amazing to hear the stories and the testimonies, isn't it, Larry, over the years?
Goodness.
And to know that we've known some men over 20 years who have walked in recovery. Their families have been reunited and rejuvenated, and they're connected all these many years later. And I just want to encourage you, if you are struggling with this, give us a call, because we can help you and it will make a difference. Right now, we're going to go back. Thanks, Larry. We're going to go back to the calls. And let's talk with Sarah, who's calling us from Trenton, New Jersey. And she watches us on YouTube, which, as you guys know, that's where I watch when I'm not on the radio. Hello to our YouTube family. Hey, Sarah, how can we help you today? Thanks for calling.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I just want to say that I love you guys, and I'm a New Life Club member, and you guys have really helped me out a lot in my life and my recovery and my walk with God. And it's really changing my life. I just have a question about how I can better deal with the shame of just having temptations as a Christian, and just dealing with like my failures and shortcomings when I do sin or I give into a temptation in my walk with the Lord, and feeling like I'm not meeting the standard of like holiness or being a good disciple.
Well, Sarah, we were on a show last week, Jill and I, and we were talking about how shame affects us, and that's what you're describing. So, Jim or Jill, who wants to start, and how can we help Sarah?
Well, I love the word grace, and today, Sarah, I had breakfast with. There were 5 of us. We've been meeting for 21 years, and we share our hurts and our struggles and our joys, and I know their temptations, and I know their sins, and they know mine. And guess what they give me? They give me love and grace. Now, again, it's not like they go, well, that's okay. No, they want, it's Jesus looked at a woman who was caught in adultery and said, go and sin no more. But he also gave that woman grace, because he could have actually thrown stones at her. That's found in the book of John. And I think part of the answer is being around people who can show you grace in the midst of your brokenness, and that gives you a hope and healing. And it is a process. Nobody said this is becoming a Christian is instantaneous. The process of being a disciple, and you use that word, is a lifelong process of sometimes 4 steps forward and 5 steps backwards, and other times 4 steps forward and 1 step backwards. So, you're on that process.
Well, Sarah, we're going to continue. We got to go to a break. You can hear the music. But, this month of September, for a gift of any amount, we're going to send you a copy of the 100 Days to Freedom from Shame devotional. We'll send that to you, but we're going to talk to you after the break.
My husband was involved with a pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 11th through the 13th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue. and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. It's Becky Brown with Dr. Jill Hubbard and Dr. Jim Burns, and we're going to continue taking your calls after this show is over, but hold on if you're online. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call. We're talking with Sarah right now, and it's tough. I think this is a typical question, Sarah, that a lot of people struggle with in their spiritual life. Jill, what would you offer to Sarah?
It actually is a big problem for a lot of people. And so I want you to look at how much does perfectionism play a role in your life? How much does kind of obsessive compulsiveness play a role? And those feelings like you have to constantly get yourself right. Remember, shame often says, instead of I made a mistake, I am a mistake. And so if you are someone that scrutinizes yourself a lot and does a lot of self-criticism, you're going to experience that a lot because we can never be good enough, right? I mean, we're striving to be more Christ-like, but we can never hit the mark fully this side of eternity. You also mentioned the temptations, and so if there are specific sins and temptations that you find yourself, you keep falling into over and over again, that means you don't have enough support around you for those things. And so shoring up that support, whether it be a specific group that targets that, a support group, an accountability partner, therapy, we keep adding things to help support where we are in our lives. And then where does grace come in for you? Can you allow any grace into your life? Can you allow yourself to be human and in process? And we all fail every day. We need to just keep turning our eyes towards Jesus and making him the focus instead of our own personal badness.
Yeah, I think that's it's so wise, Jill. And I think the point you just made about just having a new experience is practice. It's, we can feel bad for so long that we don't know what it's like to feel good. And we can feel bad because we're feeling good. So I know that sounds confusing, but I think that's the loop we get into. And so we're going to send her a copy of the 100 Days of Freedom from Shame. And I think that'll give you a little bit of structure, Sarah, to kind of move towards that freedom. But I'd encourage you also maybe attend our Repurpose Life online conference, which is going to be in September 24th. It's online. And I think it can give you some insight into this as well. We're going to go to our last caller of this show, but we're going to keep, if you're on hold, hold on, because we're going to do another show. And we're going to talk to Sandy, who's calling us from Indiana, listens on Sirius XM. Hi, Sandy. We're glad you held on. And how can we help you today?
Oh, I think. Hello, Sandy?
Oh, there she is.
Okay, there she is.
Yes.
Hi, Sandy. We just have a few minutes, but I wanted to get to your call. How can we help you today?
Okay. So long story short, I have a daughter who's 30 years old. She's a single mom. I have 4 children, and they're all adults, and have families of their own. But my daughter, who's 30, is a single mom. And I bought a house 2 or 3 years ago, and for her to purchase from me, we have 4 kids, but we're divorced, and just have been in the last 8 years or so. But so when I bought this house, it was basically so she could eventually buy it from me. So then she lived with me, came in and lived with me, her and her 7-year-old son. Now, she just can't seem to get it together to buy it. I have had to move out because I just couldn't live with them anymore. I'm an adult, I don't want to live with them. I don't agree with a lot of things that she does, but that's her life. So when I had to move in with their dad, my ex-husband, because, I couldn't buy another home because I have a home already. So now I went through counseling at our church, and my counselor said, Sandy, you and Daryl both have enabled her for so long, but it's time to stop. You are trying to do God's work, and you're not trusting that he will take care of them. And maybe she needs to call out to him. Maybe she needs to change her life, because, of course, our kids were, raised in church. And
okay. So, Sandy, we just have a couple minutes. I think we get the picture. Let's hear from Jim and Jill real quick before we run out of time. But I think you're on the right train of thought. But I would like, Jill or Jim, I would like you guys to give her some steps.
Right.
Because I think that's what's next.
Sandy, you need to outline some graduated steps for her to become more independent from you, right? So it's like we agreed that you would buy the house. Here's this path, and this is what we could set up. In 3 months, do this, and, set up some steps for her. If that's impossible, then she needs to move out. And we
set up those steps.
Okay.
I mean, for a year, I did a year contract. She gave me $4,000 down. Well, to buy it, she's been approved to buy it, but she doesn't have any more than the $4,000. And I said, well, you need, the loan, our mortgage lady said, you need this much down. And so she says, well, to my ex, her dad, can you give it to me? And he said, no, not until you learn how to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And
well, this is the process. Well, let's hear from Jim. Sandy, we don't want to run out of time. We want to hear from Jim as well.
The question you have to ask is, am I enabling dependency? And I think anytime we as parents of adult children decide that we're going to help them buy a house, and that's a great thing to do. And 75%, by the way, 75% of parents help their kids in one way or another. The question becomes, is it help or enabling? And I'm hearing the word enable. And you don't want to enable. I think your ex probably made a really good decision to not put more money into this, because it could become the cash cow, the money pit, whatever. And, things change. So sometimes you have to say, and she's a big girl, she's 30, things change. Things have changed financially for us, and we totally understand that if you can't, come up with this extra money, then we're going to have to make a different arrangement here. That doesn't mean we don't love you. It just simply means that we can't, continue to do this. Don't make it about punishment. Make it about the relationship that you have with even finances. So, she can't see this as a punishment. She has to see it as, hey, this is our life has changed. Say it. What was that?
She doesn't. She doesn't see it as punishment.
Okay.
Right.
But it's hard for. She'll be mad. She's
sure.
And I've talked to her about it in the last month or so. I said, Brandy, I'm going to have to put the house up for sale. I can't live with your father continue to ask him to put his life on hold, even though we are good friends. Our marriage we've tried counsel and everything.
Well,
it just didn't work. But I can't expect your dad to, and why should I go
Sandy.
rent when
well, but you're acting like you're having to convince her. I think you just tell her, right? And if she can't afford the house, then you don't want her to get in over her head either. Sure. She might have to be a renter.
And I think in cases like this too, it helps to direct them to some financial support of their own that she needs to establish on her own. But it's struggle. Sandy, we're going to send you a copy of Jim's book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children. It's always something, right? I mean, it is. And today we've had a lot of calls with that next generation, and we so want it to be their responsibility to act right, but we have a part in it too. And so we've just got to work at those boundaries and connections, and we just appreciate y'all calling today. We're still going to be taking calls for another hour. You can call 1-800-229-3000. And you're going to be with Dr. Jill and Dr. Jim, and Becky will be back. And we're so glad you listened.
Thanks for listening.
Take care.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.